Good morning, everyone. Let me know, guys, if I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let's start. Today we will look at socket programming. Socket programming is essential to any network communication. So any application you write, whether it is a WhatsApp, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, browser communicating with server, whenever two applications on the network communicate, underlying they use socket programming. So in that sense, it is essential to look at the basic socket programming. We would not go too deep, but we'll talk about basics, how the socket programming works, what a socket is, and are there any differences from any other programming. So essentially, what is a socket? So if you look at, we have a one application running on one machine, another application running on another machine, and the two applications communicate, and you have a network stack starting from physical layer, link layer, network layer, transport layer, application layer, and the process. So primarily, a socket actually becomes an interface between the application and the transport layer. If you need to understand the analogy, let's say you're living in a house and you need to send a courier to somebody else, and the courier company comes and collects it. So your interface to the outside world is your door. When you open the main door, you come out of your house, and there's a means of communication. Till your door is open, you can't really send, you can't even receive, and that becomes the interface point. Same way, socket is a door, which is basically an interface between the application, like you inside the house, and the transport layer, which is the outside world your house, that connects and that interface. You use that interface to send data, receive data, and that's how the socket really works. So all the applications they use socket. So once a socket is created, it pretty much becomes like a file handler in Unix world. All I/O, whether console, standard input, standard out, file dealing, any communication, block read, these are all treated as a file. And then what you do into the file when you written the basic programming, you read from the file, or you write into a file, or you close the file. So pretty much once you open a socket, you basically get a file descriptor, which is a file descriptor equivalent on the network connectivity. So you can see network as a pipe, where a file descriptor acts like a file descriptor for reading and writing a file. And what you do with the file is open the file, which is like creating a socket. Read, you're reading from a file, so read from a socket, write into a file, and once you are done reading, writing, you can basically close. Socket were first introduced with BSD, Berkeley System Division Unix, BSD socket, and since then they have become what is called de facto standard of TCP/IP programming. So fundamentally, you define socket, like I said, a door interface between transport layer and the application. So how do you identify it? A machine has the IP address. You use the IP address and a particular port number on which the application binds, connects. So IP address and the port number together basically makes a socket. For UDP, both of them is fine. For TCP, Socket is end-to-end connectivity. So source IP, source port number, destination IP, destination port number together defines a socket. Where UDP it is connectionless, it is only source IP address and the port number that defines a socket. When you discuss our client server paradigm, we have said that server has to be up and running and server should be running on a well-known port which client knows. So like we have seen, the web server runs on port 80, FTP server runs on port number 21, DNS on port 53, and email SMTP 25, POP 110. These are the well-defined, well-reserved port. Same way you define which port number to use. And if you are writing your own application, you can choose any port number and publicize it, and the client will connect onto the port number on the IP address, and that's the way it works. However, client port doesn't have to be known to anybody else. Only when client communicates to the server needs to know the client port number when he replies back. So client can use any port, but next time client comes, it can use a different port, and that's why we say client always use port dynamically, but server always uses a fixed port. And typically, if you look at a client port number varies from 49,000 to 65K. Port number is 16-bit field. 16-bit means maximum value could be up to 65K. So port number 1 to 1023 are reserved for well-deserved application, and those port number can only be used by applications which have administrative privileges or what is called root privileges. Others anybody can use, but in general clients which are not doing any service, they probably use the port number from 49,000 to 65,000. So we'll have two types of socket. One is called TCP socket and other is called UDP socket. UDP is known to be sent as an unreliable datagram. So we have to be clear about what unreliable means. Unreliable does not mean but corruption. Unreliable basically means either data would not be delivered, some data could be lost, or even data could be delivered out of order. It's something like when you send a letter in the post box, post office, which will send 3 letters each day. One letter might be lost, and letter sent on second day could be received after letter was received that posted on third day. So ordering could be changed. But letter is delivered intact. So unreliable basically means that TCP is said to be reliable and called stream oriented. Stream basically like a flow of bytes. Now whether you send 100 byte message first and then you send 200 byte message first, receiver sees only 300 byte in a sequence and receiver can read 1 byte at a time, that also would work. Whereas in UDP, when you send 3 messages, when the other side reads, it gets the full message, which one it doesn't know, that depends on the stack, that depends on the order, but you don't get partially. You may tend to ignore the remaining data, that is application choice, but UDP will deliver full messages. Whereas a TCP, if you ask for 10 bytes, it may give you 5 bytes, but not more than 10 bytes, up to 10 bytes, and then next it will give next 10 bytes. So in that sense, TCP is said to be reliable. So reliable basically means it will deliver bytes in order, it will deliver them uncorrupted, and it will never deliver a duplicate data. So we'll look at, for our socket programming example, we'll take a very simple example of a client reading data from terminal, sending it to the server. We'll do for both TCP and UDP as well. And the server program would basically receive this data, convert into uppercase, and send it back. Originally, socket programming came with BSD units, so it was written using C programming. But now as authors, we also follow the Python-based programming. So our program would be on Python. simple programming language which you can read and understand. You don't need to look at the complicated and nuances of Python. We look at simple code, should be able to read and understand, and that's the beauty of Python. This is what we'll do. So let us look at first UDP socket programming, and then we'll look at TCP socket programming. We'll study this protocol in details when we will look at transport layer module after the module 1, which is the application layer. Till that time, we assume UDP means there is no handshake of data. You simply get the message, like when you send a letter, you put a letter in an envelope, put the address and drop in the letterbox. Same way UDP, when it sends a message, it doesn't even have to know whether server is running or not. It takes the message, appends it with server IP address and server port number every time it sends a message, and sends on the socket. If server program is up and running, it will receive. If it is not up and running, the data will be discarded somewhere and the receiver would not receive it. Like a letterbox, when you're sending a letter, if you're sending 3 letters, each letter has to have its own address, even though you're sending to same person. Same way in UDP, each message has to be accompanied by its own IP address and the port number. Now when the receiver receives the data, it receives the message, and along with the message, it extracts client's IP address or sender's IP address and sender's port number, and then if need to respond, it responds back. So we look at those, and you can write either using C programming, you can write in Java programming. Those are little more extra overhead, so we'll follow simple Python programming, which is easy to read. And yesterday I sent you all the Python programs which we'll be using in our demo. So you can look at those, how to use it. And the program would work both on Windows, Linux, and Macintosh. Even though tested on Mac, being a Python, they should work on all the machines. So primarily we look at UDP provides message-oriented delivery. You send a message. If it is delivered, it's delivered in full. Often TCP is meant to say guaranteed delivery. No. TCP provides reliable delivery, but not guaranteed delivery. Reliable means if it delivers in order, it delivers uncorrupted, and it delivers the message without duplication. As long as so when TCP delivers, TCP will deliver, let's say, byte number 100, after byte number 99 is delivered, and before byte number 101 is delivered. Whereas UDP is message oriented, it will deliver either the full message or not deliver any message, and some messages may be lost, or it may be duplicated, or may be delivered out of order. Testing the programming locally in the network, locally into the machine, you may not see any packet loss or ordering in UDP messages, but in real life, that might happen. So let's look at how does a UDP socket programming work. So we'll have a UDP server. It will create a server socket. So socket, you define what kind of you are trying to create a socket. Either there could be Unix socket, which is local within the machine, or you can say address family internet. That means you're creating a socket for network communication. So is address family type, AF is address family, specify what kind of socket, and the second parameter is a TCP or UDP. When it's a sock diagram, we are saying it is UDP socket. So this will create a UDP socket. Now we need to bind to a particular port. We said server has to be up and running on a well-known port, well-known address. So choose a port number and assign the port number. And the first thing you see, I give a null string. Null string means all the IP addresses the machine has got, or I can give a specific IP address, and that also would work fine. That will work only on that IP address. So by default, server always listens on all the IP addresses. It has multiple interfaces, or you can assign multiple IP addresses to receive on all those IP addresses. Client, as a first interface, you create a socket. Since server is creating on a network socket address family AF INET, client also create AF INET address family internet and socket diagram UDP socket. If server is a UDP, client is TCP, the two will not work. Both has to be same type. And then client creates a datagram. It may be reads data from terminal and it sends the datagram to the server. And once datagram goes, server would read, and if it need to respond, it will reply back on the SOC. So all you say is SOC.read, SOC.write, and then client can read the response. And depends how many loops you want to do, it will continue in some way. So I'll give you a very simple code. This is the simplistic Python programming code, Python client. So you look at, first you import, like in Java, you import modules. You import from socket, import start, so import all the socket library APIs part. Server name, you specify host name, whatever server name is. Normally you can put the IP address or whatever host name you got. And then server port number. Say in our program, we would not be hard coding it. We'll try to use from command line argument. So first argument would always be server name and second argument would be the port number. Then I create a socket, AFINet, sock diagram. So this creates a UDP socket or file handler. And then I'm reading from console terminal. In Python, you say input. On C, you basically say scanf. On Java, you did buffer reader. So either way, you can try reading it out. So input means read from terminal and prompt whatever you want to say. Please enter the text in lower text and read. And then we send it. There's a basic difference between Python 2 and Python 3. Python 3, network always assumes it is byte-oriented delivery. So you basically given Python 3 implements as UTF-16, all characters similar to UTF-16, and byte is a 8-bit byte. So you basically given the data, you encode into ASCII mode as a byte stream. So always encode the message in ASCII stream and then send to, so this is the message.encode to ASCII, you're converting data into ASCII, and then, or you can also do the following. I could also do that, the following. And then I can simply remove this. So we create a socket, read from terminal, get the message, convert into byte stream, and then send to the server. Remember, now we are saying server name and port number, like your address on an envelope. It always has to accompany the message. And then I receive from the server. So socket is already created. And then we receive from, it will tell me what the message is and this sender's address. It could be same server, if anybody else sends it, we can also receive at the same time. And then I do print. Once I receive it, I need to decode it, which will encode it, so that in the native storage. And so simple program, we send one message, read from console, close it out. Similarly, let us look at server-side program. Again, we import socket module, define server port, create a socket. The key difference between client and server is server always has to use bind. Using this bind, server tells the underlying operating system that this is the port number I am using, and nobody else should use this port number. And once a message is received on this port, deliver it to me. So it creates a binding of the server and becomes a well-known address. So that's a key difference between client and the server. And now it's ready to receive. Now a server runs in a while loop. It's message, client address, receive from. If I'm receiving data for 2048 bytes, but the client sets, let's say 3000 bytes. So UDP protocol to deliver the full 3000 bytes, but because client gave only 2000 buffer, you'd only read 2000 and remaining 1000 would be discarded, not be delivered again. So it is the reader's responsibility to make sure it provides sufficient buffer. Now message can be anything long, so don't specify more than 65,000. So maximum length could be 65K. So specify that and receive the data. Then you decode it, converting to uppercase, and then encoding it and sending it. Please look at in Python, scope is defined by the indentation. So I think there's a little might be confused. Let me do that same thing here. So encode, send, and then server goes to receive. So let's run a simple program and see. So let me open two terminals. So this is my, so I'll open, let's say this I want to work as a client. Let me open another window, which I can say my server. Oh, let's look at the UDP server program. So you see, all we are doing is creating a socket. I'm binding, I'm specifying server IP address as argument 1, port number as argument 2. Since anything is specified command line is treated as ASCII, it's converting into integer. Create a socket here on this line, then do a bind, and after doing a bind, I'm in a while loop. 1 is always true because 0 is false, anything non-zero is true. So at this line, I receive a message, decode it, print what is being received, convert to uppercase, encode, send, and the server runs forever. So let me run Python UDP server. Null string means all the IP addresses, or I can give any other IP address I want. That's a port number 3333. Now the server is running. Let us look at client program. So client program is, maybe I can do this way. So upper window is client, lower window is server. Again, I take server IP address and server port number, create a socket, and then read input from the terminal, convert into uppercase, send data after encoding it. And this is important because each time I take a server and port number, send the data, and then read response, and then we are done. So this client sends only one message, that should be fine. So let's run this. That's the server IP addresses. This IP address is always available. Port number is 3333. Asking special hello. You see hello messages came from local and it basically received. And if I run another client, same thing happened. I can look at what is my server IP address, which I believe is my IP address is 10.30.0.213. So I can run a server again and I can say Python 10. If you are connected to internet, you can use that IP address. If not, you can use 127 and the message is received, you get a response, you can run it again. I can say 120, both addresses would work, and that's the reason we gave a listing for the server. And see, I'm getting a response. I've also given a changes to the programs. You can see loop as well. If we look at UDP client, UDP server, client loop. So run a client loop, it will keep running in a loop till you type an exit and send a message. So I'd request you to try it yourself and then work it out. So this is as far as UDP socket programming is concerned. So we looked at UDP socket program. I give you a program, I said, so run it yourself. So server name, port number, these have to, in Python, make sure they're grouped together. They have to put as a tuple in a parenthesis with a single parameter. If you not give them the bracket, you'll probably get an error. And when you receive, you get a message, and you also get the client address from server, and then send it back, and that's the way it basically works. Regarding Python, you can look at indentation. Indentation works as a scoping, so make sure that, and typically use spaces, do not use tabs. You can use wrap lines, basic guidelines, look at those stuff. Use right variable names with basic syntax, and that's the way it works. Coming to TCP, again, server program must be up and running. And server would have created a door, like with binded to the OS. And then first in TCP, client has to connect. So client would create a socket, connect to the server, and once it connects, now this becomes a file handler, and we don't have to specify IP address port number every time. And when server has to accept the connection, after binding it, it accepts, and then it can deal with, once it accepts, it get a new file descriptor, and for that file descriptor dedicated to that connection, and server can create multiple, accept multiple clients at the same time, and that also would work fine. So we'll see TCP provides reliable in order. You can read multiple times, and those who want to try, you can even try actually NC. NC as a transport layer, that also would work. It is NC minus U, so I can run NC as a client, I can run NC as a server, and that also would work fine. So simple flow, let's look at a server would create a socket. It has to do a binding. After it does a binding, it specifies the queue size, that how many people can wait. And after the queue size, it basically accepts a connection. And once it accepts, so till the client connects, it's going to keep waiting there. Now client comes, create a socket, and then connects. And after connecting it, it will send receive data, and that way same thing would work out. So let's look at the basic code there. Now it's up to the client whether they want to serve one message or 10 messages on the same connection, and server could be up and running. Simple client code we already seen. Socket, we import the socket library. Server argument, sorry, this line is not required. This is for advanced Python, so let me skip this. We don't need this. I'm creating a socket and then connecting to the server, specifying server port number. Now server comma port number has to be in extra parenthesis because it basically becomes a tuple. If you specify without parenthesis, it becomes two parameter and connect call would fail. I think there's another typo error there. And then once I connect it, logic same, I read from terminal and code into ASCII, send. I don't need server port number because the socket is connected. I receive. Now whatever I receive that many bytes or less than that bytes and then continue receiving, and that's the way I can run the simple client, one message sent, one message received, and client connection is closed. Same way if you look at TCP server, I import socket library, get the server name, which IP address, which port number, create a socket. Now these two are important for TCP. We need to do a bind so that you tell the operating system that this particular port number I'm using, and you specify listen queue size. That means how many client can wait. Even though you're talking to some client, other could wait, and the parameter 1 or 2 or 3 indicates a queue size, how many client could be connected and waiting for you. And then you are in a loop, you connect, basically true, you accept a new connection, you receive from a client, you decode into ASCII so they become native for, and then printing it, then I'm basically converting to uppercase and encoding back to ASCII, sending it. So simple server is accepting one client message, sending a response, closing the connection, and next time it accepts next message. And that's the way the server program and client program would basically work. So we can look at the APIs. Socket, this creates a socket. This is if you want to make some extra options, non-blocking, whether server can restart using it. We'll probably look at this later. So for TCP socket, it's recommended to use this. If you don't recommend a server program closes, next time you can invoke the program only after about 2 minutes and not before. So that's the only purpose for side socket options. And then bind and listen are important for TCP. You need to do bind for UDP as well, but for TCP you need bind and listen, and then accept a new connection, do an accept, and process will continue. From a client perspective, you create a socket, connect, and then exchange the data. And then send and receive. You receive that many bytes, you send the full message. When you send a message, it basically means your data has gone from application to OS network buffer. It will get transmitted eventually. Send successful does not mean data has gone to the other side. It may take a while. Let's say sending 1,000 byte message long. It may go 10 bytes at a time, maybe 100 times retransmitted, and other side can read 10, 20, 30 bytes at a time, whatever. That's what still work fine. And then you close the connection. So let us look at simple code. I'll demo only server and client pi. The server in a loop, which is a simple server. Server code is accept one message from a client and done away with. But you have multiple. If a client want to send multiple messages on same connection, then have server loop and also have a client loop. We look at those. And this I leave it exercise. You modify client program, you modify server program to add extra functionality, send a message or something else, and that should also be work fine. So let us look at this client program and the server program. Those who are interested in advanced TCP programming, I give you TCP server select. It can handle multiple clients at the same time. TCP server thread, each time a client connects, server will span a thread to deal with that client. So there is no limitations on number of clients a server can handle. Without this, if you look at my simple server program, it will deal with one client at a time, and other clients will remain in the queue waiting for the queue first client to be over. And I'll basically show that. So let's look at the program. Let me run server program. So look at, I get the server IP address, server port number, and then in a while loop, I accept a new connection, receive data from the client. After receiving, because of Python 3, I have to decode it. Python 2 is being deprecated from this year. So those who want to use Python 3. Then I'm just printing on the server. So this is what the data, they're converted into uppercase, encoding back to ASCII, send it, and close this socket connection, and continue on that. So if we keep sending it again, you'll basically get an error, the client would close. So let me run this simple server program. That means all the IP addresses, that's a port number 5555. Now let me use a client. I say Python. Look at the TCP client first. Again, get server IP address, port number converted to integer. Create a socket. Then I connect. After connection is successful, I'll read a message, encode it, send it, receive it, display it, and close. One message received, and that should be fine. Server IP addresses, let's say 127.0.0.1, port number 55. This IP address is always available to connect to locally. So even if you're not onto any network, you can still run these client server programs using this as IP address. You see, it receives a message, hello server, and server converts into uppercase, sends it back, the connection is closed. I can also run NC. 127 is also known as localhost. So either you can use 127.0.0.1 or you can use localhost. Both are equivalent. Say, now NC does not close the connection. So whatever I type, it will send that message. I get the response. And now because server has closed the connection, this connection gets closed. I also written a program called TCP client loop. So you see now this client keeps running till I type an exit. Now if I run this, but my server is only running one message received, so after second message, it will basically encounter an error and client program will close. Let me try to run that. Hello, and I say next. See, program closes because server has closed the connection. On the server side, I also given you same program. So I can run Python, TCP server, loop, and then it will work fine. That's a port number 6666. I run a client. Now, as long as clients want to keep connecting, so till the client exits, it will not exit. And then you can connect again. Because I can listen queue size, I can actually send so my one client is already connected. I can run another client. Now see, anything I type, it is in the buffer because client is dealing, server is dealing one client at a time. So till the first client exits, only then you see message from the second client. You can see second port number. So when you want to work with a server which is dealing with multiple clients, I have given you other programs. Like you can see UDP server select, UDP server thread, and they deal with multiple at the same time. So I'll recommend you to go through those and work out. So with that, I'm done for today. If any questions, please feel free to ask. So tomorrow I'll try to review the whole subject what we have done. Maybe try to run through some questions similar to which I'm going to ask in the question paper. So let's do some exercises because exam is going to be more exercise based. Let's run that. So review all the course syllabus and tomorrow we'll basically discuss how to use the concept we learned and can be applied practically and something similar which I'm going to ask in the question paper. Any question, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'm done for today.